Hello, I am K-pop World and welcome to my channel. Today you clicked on it, so you already know we are going to be talking about new jeans. Scratch that. We are going to be talking about NJZ because that is their new name, formerly known as New Jeans. The members have come out in an interview with CNN to announce that their new name is going to be NJZ.
Okay, let's do this. Come on, guys.
Hi, we're NJZ.
It's official.
It feels like a new beginning. It feels fresh, exciting, and we just can't wait to get back there and meet bunnies. We are so very excited.
Now, if you do go on to like this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so I can keep making videos just like this. Now, I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. Between the five of them, Minhajin and the fans, you're telling me they couldn't come up with a better name than NJZ? NJZ is basically New Jeans without all the letters. I don't know. I just thought because Minhajin is praised to be such a great creative director and, she's so great at coming up with original things that she would come up with something better than NJZ because we all know she's behind this shit. But they announced their new name and they said that they will be rebranding. And honestly, fans couldn't help but notice that their new rebrand looks a little similar to aespa in their Armageddon era and XG. This is very much their aesthetic right now. So some fans are really happy with the new rebrand and the new style that the girls are rocking. But there's other K-pop fans that are looking at this like, oh, hold on a second. Isn't this what Minhajin was fighting about when it came to All It? Didn't she basically look at the small similarities between All It and New Jeans and say that All It copied word for word, bar for bar? But of course, who are we to say that they plagiarized anybody? Because everything that they have done has been super, super original, never been seen before, never been done before. That is their whole thing, that they're super original. So who are we to say that their new concept looks a little similar to aespa's current era or to XG? So let's quickly talk about the interview with CNN. In the interview with CNN, they announced that they are NJZ now, and they seem really happy with the name. They seem excited for what's to come. They also mentioned that they will be headlining ComplexCon and that they will be debuting new music at the festival in Hong Kong. Now, of course, the big question is, are they legally allowed to do this while the injunction is in place? Honestly, I don't know, because I believe that the injunction that Ador put on New Jeans, or the members, is one for advertising deals. I don't know if it stretches into them performing. I don't think Ador is too worried about ComplexCon right now, because if the court rules in favor of Ador and decides that New Jeans' contract with Ador is still valid, then the situation will be back in Ador's control and they will get to decide what happens to the members and what happens to this ComplexCon headlining act that the girls booked on their own. Now, a few weeks ago, the girls announced that they would be legally represented by Sejong Law Firm, which is the same law firm that represented Minhajin in her case against Hybe. Now, Sejong isn't a small law firm, okay? It is a really big law firm. We are talking top 3 in South Korea. Like, they really know what they're doing. They have very experienced lawyers. So it is a little confusing to see that they are allowing the members to rebrand with a name similar to their original name and allowing them to sign contract while the injunction is in place. So does this mean that Sejong is confident that they can win the case and get the girls out of the company without having to pay penalty fees or go through months, if not years, of legal dispute? Now, they had a second interview as NJZ with CNBC, and I gotta tell you, I don't know who the PR person or the media coach is, but they deserve a raise because the way the girls were ducking these questions, I've never seen that before in K-pop. Now, to be fair, maybe they were excited, maybe they were nervous while having this interview. Also, she did kind of ask like a 2-part question. And the question was if they had spoken to any of the brands that they had worked with, because a lot of the fashion brands that they had been working with were signed while they were still under Ador. And she also asked if the treatment from the industry had gotten better or worse ever since they left the company. Now, the second part of the question probably has something to do with all of the companies that came out against New Jeans and said that they need to go back to Ador and that they need to make amends and that unilaterally terminating their contract is not constitutional and that it could have a rippling effect on the rest of the K-pop industry. And the first part of the question about the fashion brands could be about whether or not they are still ambassadors for the fashion brands that they signed with while under Ador, or if those contracts are null and voided. And if those contracts are null and voided, I mean, are they having to pay penalty fees, or is Ador having to pay penalty fees? And if Ador has to pay penalty fees for a contract that's been null and voided because the girls decided to terminate their contract, can't Ador just throw it back on New Jeans? I mean, the legal complexities do not end. But I'm guessing it was about whether or not the girls had spoken directly with the brands that they are ambassadors for to discuss whether or not they would honor their contract to term that they signed with Ador, or whether the fashion brands would just cut them a break and cut them loose if it meant nulling and voiding the contracts that they signed while under Ador.
How has it been different for you in any way since you walked away from Ador? Has the industry, the treatment has been better or worse in any way? What is your conversation with some of the fashion brands that you've been endorsing as well?
Actually, what's been quite frightening for us is that even everything that we've been through, they are still interfering with a lot of our work. Yeah, Ador is still interfering with a lot of our work. They have already filed 2 lawsuits against us, and they've actually also filed for an injunction, which is very much interfering with the plans that we have for our future. And we just want to get out there, enjoy time with bunnies and our fans and just everyone in general, because we have so many exciting things planned for 2025 and and we're all super hyped about it.
Yes, exactly.
Honestly, she didn't answer either of the questions. She just said they want to make new music. They have exciting things coming out. They want to make music for bunnies. They want to be with bunnies. I also don't know if they could keep the fandom name. Don't they register the fandom names as well? So while their new name is NJZ, they're going to have to look for a new name for their fandom, don't they? Danielle also stated that Ador was interfering with their activities, which I think everybody found super weird, because what do you mean they're interfering with your activities? It's legal dispute. They are well within their legal right to file an injunction or to file for the validity that they filed for. They're well within the rights to file a lawsuit, but they're choosing not to do it, I'm assuming, because they really don't want the burden of having to put out proof to say that they didn't breach their contract. I thought it was really weird that she said that, because they knew very well that if they unilaterally terminated their contract, Ador wouldn't take it lying down, let alone Hybe. So I don't know what they expected. I don't know if they expected Hybe and Ador to just let it go and let them leave just like that, but that was never going to be the case. Now, she did also ask about their legal dispute, and she did ask if they are worried or if they're prepared for the legal dispute with Ador.
CNBC also reached out to Hybe for their statement and reaction to all this, and we're waiting for their statement. But how ready are you? Apart from your own music career, there's this legal fight that actually starts early March. And is this going to somehow damage your branding? I know that you came up with a new name, but New Jeans feels very different, having watched all these illegal headlines.
Yeah, well, I think our goal for this year, and one of our main reasons we wanted to come back and start promoting and releasing music as quickly as possible, is because we want to reshift the focus back onto our job and what we should be kind of coming out into the media. So that was our main goal. And honestly, we have done nothing wrong. So we're not afraid of anything at the moment. I think we're more excited to kind of see what the future holds. And I'm sure that everything will work out well. Yeah.
And again, ducking the questions like they are playing dodgeball, because I could swear that Honey answered something else. But in the end, she did say that they did nothing wrong, so they are not afraid of what's to come and that the outcome will sort itself out, I guess. At this point, it feels like they're going off of vibes, and that's it. Just vibe. Now, I don't know if they understand fully the legalities that they are facing right now, or if they are just choosing to let the adults in their lives take care of everything in terms of the legalities. Because doesn't this just go against everything they wanted in Hybe? They wanted an open and honest, cards on the table type of relationship with Ador before they left, because they said that Hybe and Ador were keeping things from them. They were keeping them out of major decisions, and that they weren't letting them have an input in things that would directly affect them and their careers. But here we are with Sejong and possibly Min Hye-jin, allegedly, and their parents as well. By the way, the parents inserted themselves like majorly. And it just seems like everybody else is doing all of the legality stuff, all of the business stuff, and the girls are just doing the music, which is basically what Ador wanted. Hybe and Ador would handle all the business stuff. They would handle everything that didn't have to do with the music, and the girls would just have to come in, record the songs, perform, earn a shit ton of money, and then call it a day. You know what's funny? The parents started a PR account on Instagram because they wanted their side of the story to be heard, or at least the girl's side of the story to be heard, because they believe that in South Korea, all of the news outlets and the media weren't interpreting their side of the story the way that they wanted. They basically said that there was a lot of media play on Hybe and Ador's side, and that the media was more on Hybe and Ador's side than they were on the member side. So they would misinterpret the words of the girls, and they would tell a different story from what the girls would be telling. After watching the interview with CNBC, I thought it was very ironic, because here you have a news anchor who is asking all of the right questions with no malicious intent. She's not dumbing it down for them. She is asking them as people who signed contracts and have now left their contract. She was asking them as adults, and they couldn't answer a single question that she had asked. The news anchor was asking all the right questions that should have been really easy for the girls to answer, questions that if answered correctly, people would have known that the girls do know what they are doing and that they are well aware of the ramifications and the consequences of their actions. But the fact that they couldn't even answer a single question correctly, they were going off with their own answers, just shows that they're not mature enough or old enough to understand the consequences of what they're doing and the legal situation that they're currently involved in. And we know it wasn't a problem with the language barrier, because both Honey and Danielle are fluent in English, so they should have understood those questions and answered them with ease. But instead, it felt like they already had pre-written answers, and those were the answers they were going to give regardless of the questions that they were asked, because their answers did not correlate with the questions that were asked, and it did seem like they had pre-rehearsed their answers. The same thing happened when they terminated their contracts. The journalists that were present were asking them questions as adults. They were asking them questions as people who had signed contracts and had legal obligations to follow through with those contracts, but had chosen to terminate those contracts. They were asking them questions. Maybe they had a bit of malintent, maybe a little snarky in the tone, but they asked them very serious questions, and the girls could not answer those questions. Now, at the time, yes, maybe they were unprepared because they had just decided that, look, it's done with us and Ador, but now they've had time to think things through. They are being represented by Sejong Law Firm, which means they are being counseled legally, so they should be aware of how to answer these questions, and yet they still are unable to answer any of the legal questions that they are being asked, which is crazy, because this is stuff that they should know at this point after terminating their contracts the way that they did. The whole press tour really felt like a diversion from what is really going on, which is the legal case, because it feels like they were just trying to razzle dazzle us on this side by saying, hey, look, we have a new name, we're going to put out new songs, we're going to be performing, we're going to keep moving. Whereas on the other side, it's like, okay, but legal situation over here is happening. You can't just ignore this. And they're just like, no. Pay attention to this side. The shiny side. The new side. The NJZ side.
Yeah, well, I think our goal for this year, and one of our main reasons we wanted to come back and start promoting and releasing music as quickly as possible, is because we want to reshift the focus back onto our job and what we should be kind of coming out into the media. So that was our main goal.
They are trying to move on as if all of this is just going to go away on its own. Now, Ador did respond to everything that is happening right now with New Jeans, and their response was that the situation was regrettable. I feel like at this point, Ador doesn't even care to make a proper statement because the court date has been chosen, and they know that New Jeans cannot win on public opinion alone. If anything, they can't win on public opinion at all. I feel like Ador and Hybe are really gearing up for like the lawsuit of the century because NJZ went on this whole press tour and they were talking about how Ador mistreated them and there was a lot of miscommunication, there was manipulation, and that there was mismanagement of their careers, which, by the way,
there's been a lot of conflict going on in our previous company, and while we were under that company, there was a lot of mistreatment, a lot of mismanagement. We lost a lot of trust.
That is a stretch. Mismanagement is a stretch at best. If New Jeans loses to Ador and to Hybe and they are asked to go back to Ador, they can never walk around in the Hybe building with their heads held high because they went around telling everybody that in the company they were being mistreated and things went great, but they also didn't have the evidence to back up what they were saying. And if they decide, no, we're still not going back, we would rather pay the penalty fee, which is very steep. As of right now, the estimations are very, very high. I don't think they'll have to pay the full amount because really it's ridiculously high. I think it will be reduced, but it will still be pretty high. If they decide that they're just going to pay the penalty fee, then they'll be working for a very, very long time before they fully pay off that penalty fee. Because then life outside of Hybe without a good reputation is going to make it very hard for them to work. Brands are not going to trust them because clearly they made all of these allegations and they still could not win their lawsuit or their court cases against Ador. Fans are not going to trust them and fans are not going to want to listen to their music because they made up all these lies, allegedly, and they still couldn't back it up with evidence. Meanwhile, their fans supported them fully and relentlessly. I honestly, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I hope that New Jeans win. I hope that everything turns out in their favor. And I say this because if things don't turn out in their favor, they will be forced to go back to Ador. And I swear, Hybe is on their last nerve at this point. I mean, I can feel it's in the air. You can feel the tension. Things are not going to be good if they go back to Hybe and Ador. They really will not be good. Ador has given them multiple chances to return without punishment, without having to pay any penalty fees, without having to go through any legalities. I mean, they have extended the olive branches. If the olive branches are dead because the tree is dead, it has no soul, it has no heart, whatever. The olive branch was there. They extended it. And the girls just chose not to take it. So I really hope for the life of them, for their careers, that things turn out in their favor because things are not going to go well if they don't turn out in their favor. And it does seem like people are losing faith in the girls. They just don't trust them anymore. Things just don't make sense. The stories don't add up. Aside from the ignore her situation, all of this mistreatment happened under Minhee Jin. If their miscommunication that they say that they had with Ador and Hybe happened after Minhee Jin left, okay, I get it. They said there was miscommunication, there was manipulation, but they also said that they didn't want to work with the new Miss Ma'am. CEO Kim Joo-young, I mean, they weren't even calling her CEO, which is kind of rude in like Korean culture because you need to address somebody by their title if you are aware of their title. They were still calling Minhee Jin CEO. If they lose and have to go back to Ador, everyone is going to brand them as liars because clearly they lied in order to leave and be with Minhee Jin. I mean, that is treacherous behavior. That is like 50-50 level of treason. I would hate to see what happens if they lose. So I really do hope that they win. But like legally, if you have been following the story very closely and if you have watched videos of lawyers talking about the legalities of this case, if you have been watching closely, then you already know that there is no way that they're winning this case. Maybe they have tricks up their sleeve. Again, I said this before, and I really do believe that maybe they do have some tricks up their sleeve. But let's think about it. With Sejong, Minhee Jin won her first injunction on a technicality. The second injunction she lost because she wanted the court to force Ador to make her CEO again after they had removed her. After that, she became a director and a producer for New Jeans. And then she decided to quit on her own. And the only reason she even won her first case is because the court said that she had not done any damage to Ador. Yes, her actions may have caused Hybe damage, but it wasn't enough for Hybe to remove her from her CEO position because she hadn't actually done any harm to Ador. So unless the girls really do have evidence of mistreatment that they went through in Hybe, which they have not mentioned, they've said that the evidence is there, but they've never told us what it is. They've never told us how they got to it. I mean, if it's the ignore her situation only, we are in for a long legal battle because that is not enough. This whole situation really with New Jeans and NJZ is crazy because fans are usually very quick to support idols when they come out with problems, which was the same thing that happened with New Jeans. When they came out with all of the problems that they had the little YouTube channel. When things were going bad with Minhajin, fans stood by New Jeans and they said, look, the girls are not involved. They have nothing to do with this. They're just trying to help Minhajin out. They don't really understand. Okay, everybody went along with that. But the more that things happened, the more they got involved, the more they kept talking about the mistreatment that they were going through in Hybe and Ador, the less things made sense. The more people started questioning it, like, hang on, that really does not make sense. How did that happen? How did we reach this conclusion? Minhajin's interference in all of this, the tampering allegations, the fact that she's constantly been around, even when the girls have distanced themselves from her, it's clear that all of it has been a lie and that they have been conspiring together this whole time, allegedly. But then again, if they do win, then all of this goes away and fans are like, look, maybe they were telling the truth all along. And maybe, just maybe, they'll come close to having the popularity that they once had while they were under Hybe and Ador. But okay, we'll see what happens. March 7th is the date that has been chosen for the legal dispute between New Jeans and Ador, and they will be performing at ComplexCon later on in March. So if their validity of contract, if the judge states that their contract isn't valid and they are indeed free from Ador and Hybe, then they'll be able to go on with their activities without any problems. But if the court says otherwise, their headlining act with ComplexCon may be terminated. And I don't know if ComplexCon is aware of their situation. They should be. I don't know if there's an agreement there that should things go wrong for New Jeans, ComplexCon won't penalize the girls and won't sue the girls for not being able to attend. I don't know if maybe Ador is going to get involved and say, let's re-sign the contract where we get a good chunk of cash. I mean, the options. But of course, those are just my opinions and you are free to share yours with me in the comment section. If you do go on to like this video, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe so I can keep making videos just like this one. But until our next dance with K-pop, goodbye.